Hello everyone, my name is Mehl. I will be presenting to you the organizational change proposal for an X-ray equipment dealer. I hope you find this presentation interesting. But first, let's take a look at the overview of my presentation. First, I would like to start with a brief description of the company. Then I will discuss organizational issues, its causes and impact. We will define the top 3 organizational issues. I will also discuss the change recommendation and implementation plan. We will review the Lewin's change model, and last is going to be the summary of my presentation. Let's start with the brief description of the company. This is a small local company that sells, installs, and services X-ray equipment. There are a total of 35 employees, including the owner, who is also the president of the company. The company strives to sell and install equipment to healthcare institutions in our community, so the best care can be provided to their patients. I would like to start my presentation by discussing the organizational issues of the company. One of the issues is the lack of the effective horizontal communication that would allow the sharing of information between coworkers. For example, after the announcement of a sale, I need some information from the salesperson so I can begin planning for my part as a member of the applications department. However, this becomes an issue as each time I must ask the salesperson for the same information. For example, how many days of applications did the customer purchase? What is the contact person? And what is the address of the project? In other words, there is no process in place to follow to provide other departments with more specifics regarding a project. This has a negative impact on the efficiency as well as effectiveness of my work because I am constantly reaching out to our sales personnel for information that I do need to do my job. The company uses the evidence-based approach as the decision-making model. Most of the decisions are customer-related as the company sells, installs, and services X-ray equipment. In the decision-making process, the managers use evidence and facts to offer the best solution for a customer. For example, when a customer requests a quote for a new X-ray room, our managers use the data of the existing X-ray room to evaluate and then propose the new X-ray room. This process is very structured and follows an orderly path in which the room needs to be assessed for an electrical and engineering evaluation. Then a proposal of the room layout is made, suggesting the best operational placement of the equipment. In addition, based on the evaluation of the electrical system, the correct generator for the room is selected. Finally, based on the analysis of the collected data, the final decision is made, suggesting the most suitable X-ray equipment. All these solutions are made without the involvement of human emotions, which can become an issue. In other words, there have been times in which an X-ray room was suggested to a customer without the consideration of employees and patients. Specifically, an X-ray table that was sold to this customer and installed without consulting the technologists first. As a result, the X-ray table was installed in a place that is difficult for the technologists to walk around without hitting it. This might have been a result of not having complete information from the technologist, which is another downside of this evidence-based approach. In addition, since the evidence-based approach leaves emotion out from the process, the input from the technologists, what they like or dislike about the room, is left out. As a result, we are dealing with an unhappy customer. Every time I visit the customer, I hear about their disappointment. Since this was not the first time a situation like this happened, I brought this to the attention of our decision makers. However, it turned out that my input was not of value, and the same mistake happened again. The lack of human element in the decision-making process doesn't follow this company's goal to deliver the best possible patient care. In addition, this creates an issue with the efficiency and effectiveness, as we must keep coming back while trying to find a workable solution for the customer. This company also uses the expert power. There are 3 engineers at this company that the president believes are experts and have superior knowledge or ability in very specific area involving X-ray equipment. As a result, they are awarded the authority to work on projects that other engineers don't have the skill set to work on. They also have the power to guide and influence other engineers. On the contrary, the expert power can create an issue because the engineers are afraid of losing their power. Therefore, they don't seem to share their knowledge as they should. There have been times where the expert power has also become a motivational issue for the rest of the employees. Since the president makes it very clear that these 3 individuals are the only expert at this company, the rest of the team doesn't feel appreciated, but rather demotivated. This in turn can also lead to disagreements or even conflict. The employees of this company are mostly working in the field, or while in the office, there is really no room for camaraderie or humor. Each individual minds his or her business without interacting with one another unless there is a business-related need. The culture promotes isolation among co-workers and departments. Not surprisingly, the right of integration and ceremonies are not supported in this company. There are no company events to bring the employees together, to allow them to learn more about one another and to bond as a team. Instead, the company's employees work in their personal bubbles with little social interaction with co-workers. It has a negative impact on the communication among employees as they communicate at a minimum level. But most importantly, it limits the employee's commitment to the company and creates an unfriendly working environment that supports the isolation of people. Everyone, including the managers, is mainly concerned about themselves or their direct department only, which follows the non-constructive type of culture. Now let's discuss the top 3 issues of this company. The top 3 issues of this company are identified as limited product line, low formalization, high specialization. With new demand and changes within the healthcare industry, there are always some opportunities for business. Specifically, new hospitals and clinics are being built, which generates the potential for new equipment purchases, and the old equipment needs to be replaced. The threat comes from the external environment in the form of competition. As a small company, this dealer faces a difficult time competing with larger corporations. The reason is mainly related to the cost of the project. Large organizations have the luxury to offer a much lower price. The cause of the problem is that this dealer only sells X-ray equipment, therefore the product line is limited when the customer is also looking to buy another type of imaging equipment, such as, for example, ultrasound or CT. This can have a negative impact for the company as it is not able to compete with the larger corporations. The company loses the sale and, of course, money. The issue of limited product line is one of the top 3 issues of the company. The second top issue is related to the low formalization of the company. Specifically, there are certain processes that are absent, resulting in less overall company efficiency. For example, there are no employee evaluations performed. I believe that performance reviews would benefit both the company and its employees. Since the employee doesn't have the opportunity to discuss his or her work and performance, the employees are not motivated. They are not recognized for a job well done and have no opportunity for career advancement or development. The third top issue is related to the specialization of the company, which is high. Too much specialization can have a negative impact on the company. For example, there are engineers within the organization that are specialized on a specific X-ray equipment. This can become an issue if there is a need for an installation and the only available engineer is not specialized on that particular equipment. As a result, hiring an outside engineer could become the only option to complete the project. At the same time, it adds an extra cost to the project and lowers the company's profit and efficiency. Now let's take a look at my recommendations and implementation plan to address these issues. My change recommendation would include both the external and internal environment. As discussed earlier, the top 3 critical issues of this company are limited product line, low formalization, and high specialization. To address the issue of limited product line, I would suggest expanding the product line and introducing other modalities such as ultrasound, CT, and MRI. This would allow the company to compete against the bigger corporations. The company would adapt to the market demand by introducing another product line. Thus, this change would relate to the external environment. To implement these changes, I would use the strategic intervention to deal with the external factors that impact the performance of the organization. To address the low formalization issue, I would implement an annual performance review. This would provide the employees the opportunity to discuss his or her work performance. This would also allow for the manager to develop a career plan for the employee with specific tasks to complete. In turn, this would increase the employee's productivity as well as motivation. I would use the performance management system intervention to develop an appropriate employee evaluation and reward system. To address the high specialization issue, I would recommend that all engineers receive the same training on the same X-ray equipment. This would increase the efficiency as well as effectiveness of the service department. In addition, it would save the company money on travel expenses. To implement this change, I would utilize the training intervention to ensure that all service engineers receive the same adequate training to improve everyone's skill base. Both of these changes are part of the internal environment as they come from the inside of the organization. To implement these changes, I would follow Louis' 3-step process. This process consists of 3 steps. The first step is called unfreeze. During this phase, the managers of the company would communicate the need and the reasons for the changes to all employees affected by this change. During this phase, the managers would deal with the employees' concerns about this change. The second step of this model is the actual change. This is when the employees accept the idea that things are going to be different. The new policies and procedures would be implemented along with an appropriate training for the employees. Of course, the change doesn't happen immediately, so people would need some time to adjust to it. The last step in this model is called the refreezing, and it would consist of monitoring the implemented changes. Also, this is the phase when changes are adjusted as needed. Monitoring of daily activities would allow for the changes to be successful. Now, let's summarize what we discussed in this presentation. We identified the 3 top issues of this company, which are number 1, limited product line, number 2, low formalization, and number 3, high specialization. We also discuss the organizational change proposal to address all these issues. Thank you for learning about my organizational change proposal.